1, 2, 1, 2. Is this thing on? Are we actually live on Twitch? All right. Well, hi everyone. Let's just ease things with this tune. One of my personal favorites. I'm sure a lot of you can recognize this music, where it's from, who the composer is. Very chill music, very chill vibes. It's kind of like the perfect way to start this stream. Perfect way to start this program. For me, at least. This isn't the epitome of elevator music. I don't know what is, honestly. Yeah, chill vibes, and we'll slowly get into it once this track sort of like ends. Hope you're enjoying it. Yeah, the screen is dark for now, but it'll light up in a little bit. And with that, hello everyone. Welcome to the first ever stream. My name is Shadow Hunter, as you can see, as you can assume. So today, in the first ever live stream on Twitch for this channel, by the way, let me know if there's any technical difficulties. Let me know if there's anything wrong with the mic, anything wrong with the camera, or if there's any glitching, or if you're receiving this slow, or if I'm going like this, you know, because this is my first stream and I'd like to fix this up. I'd like to, you know, improve the quality for all of you. I'd like to do whatever I can for all of you so we can make this program as best as possible for everyone. Or if the music is too loud or anything like that. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about who is Shadow Hunter? Who am I? Like, who's the person behind the camera? Who are you looking at? What got me into gaming? What made me want to start this program? What got me into the industry, into the hobby that we're all into, that we all enjoy? So how I started playing video games. And then after that, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to dive into it a little bit more specifically, talk about my relationship with a certain franchise. And after that, I'm going to start talking about this channel in specific and say, you know, by the way, there's going to be a lot of first time doing a live stream, so please forgive any nervousness. After that, I'm going to talk about the channel, as I was saying, and discuss what it's going to be about, what you should expect to see here. And then as we close things out, we're going to talk about, I'm just going to give a little credit to some people. Starting things off in a very chill vibe, in a very chill atmosphere. As I said, I'm Shadow Hunter, but officially my name is Alex. I'm a gamer like most of you. You know, I really enjoy playing video games, traveling to worlds beyond our imaginations, thanks to what these incredible developers have been giving us throughout the years. Thanks to all these fantastic worlds that we've been given, thanks to all these incredible creations that they've delivered throughout the years, and they still continue to do to this day. We've been blessed with some amazing games throughout the years, throughout the decades. I'm a little bit older. I started getting into gaming back in the 90s, late 90s, okay, not that old. But yeah, I got into it back then and never found the way out of this industry, of this incredible hobby, of this fantastic pastime. So I felt like it was time to give back to the world, to this industry that just keeps on giving. So how did I all right, 1 second here, because I'm getting a little bit... I'm going to cancel that. Sorry, I got a notification on my computer. How did I get into it? Good question. Well, I remember being on a plane because originally I was born in Greece, and this program is coming to you live from Athens. So I was born in Greece, but my family was from Australia. My mother was from Australia, and I had family there. So I remember being on this flight, coming back. I think I was coming back from Sydney to Athens because I had to get back to school. We'd usually go for holidays to Sydney so my mother could see her family, and I could see them too. And my older sister, she bought this Game Boy back then. It was the original, the OG, the Game Boy, and she had a bunch of cartridges, like games like Tetris and Super Mario and other games like that. So it was a long flight. For anyone who's done that flight, I think it's one of the longest flights ever. It was like a total of 21 hours or 24 hours, something like that. So, I mean, she saw I was bored. She saw I had nothing to do on that flight. Back then, it wasn't like it is now, where each seat has an individual screen where you can play games or watch movies. No, it was just like you sit there quietly and you wait for the flight to be over, and maybe we'll give you some food, right? But yeah, it was a long flight. I had nothing to do, so she was like, all right, look, you can have the Game Boy for a little bit. You can play for a bit. So I was like, oh yeah, cool. So I grabbed this thing and I was like, what even is it? How does it operate? And she taught me how to play it, and after that, the rest is history, as they say. I didn't enjoy Tetris, but thankfully she had Super Mario, and I dove into it, and I just wouldn't let the bloody thing go until the end of the flight. And even after that, I just got into gaming so much. Thankfully, she didn't really care about it that much. She just had it as a pastime. But I was just so invested into like finding out what happens in the world of Mario. Like, does he save the princess? Does she get eaten by Bowser or Koopa or whatever he was called? Like, what happens? I have to get to the end of this game, right? So yeah, that's how I got started. And then I went on buying, I remember the first game I played was Super Mario Land 1, the original, on the Game Boy. And then I bought the whole trilogy, right? I went right down that rabbit hole. I bought Super Mario Land 2, Super Mario Land 3, what other games? I had some other games on the original Game Boy that I don't even remember. There was this rugby game, I think, very old rugby game, which to this day I have no idea how to play rugby. If you tell me like to watch rugby, I still have no idea how it's played or how to go about it. Yeah. And what other games? Honestly, I don't remember owning any other games till later on when Wario Land came out or the Donkey Kong games were released. That was a good time. And yeah. And then I remember the next Christmas, my mother, she saw how, and my sister saw how invested I was becoming into gaming, and they bought me. There was this huge package under the Christmas tree, and I was like, okay, whatever, because like at that time I was used to only getting clothes and stuff like that, or like action figures. Like Power Rangers was really popular back then, so I was really into action figures. But there was this box and my mind didn't even go to it, right? So I think I was 13 at that time. Anyway, age doesn't matter. Let's not talk about age. But yeah, come Christmas Day and they're like, okay, here, this box is for you. And I'm like, what is it? So I open it up and it's a bundle of the Super Nintendo, Super NES, and the cartridge, the Super Mario All-Stars cartridge, which from what I hear isn't too popular with gamers, because usually they just jump to, when they talk Super Nintendo, usually they just go to Super Mario World. But Super Mario All-Stars actually came out earlier, and it featured all the it was a remastered edition of all the Super Mario Brothers that came to the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, which was the precursor to the Super Nintendo, right? So yeah, they were all remastered for the Super Nintendo. Of course, to me, this was the first time I was playing these games, right? I had no idea about any Nintendo or anything like that. The first home console I owned was the Super Nintendo. So anyway, I just threw it in, I started playing them, and for me it was just like all the colors and the vibrancy, it was just like bringing the world of Super Mario to life, right? I was like, wow, I was mesmerized. So I just jumped into it, and it was just like, it brought these worlds to life, as I said. And I remember just sticking with it and playing those games for hours and hours, and like the days would fly by. I remember I'd rush home after school every day just to jump into it and finish the next level and just keep going and going. And I remember even after I'd finished those games, right, I'd keep going to find all the hidden levels, to find all the secrets, to just like squeeze out every little inch of content those games had. So yeah, to me, those games were the start. Those games were like my foundation as a gamer, and where I started from. And from then on, I sort of spiraled and I kept going. And yeah, I continued on with, I think Super Mario Kart came next, which was my first racing game. I'd never played a racing game till then. I thought, when I bought Super Mario Kart, I thought it was just going to be like, oh, Mario with a car. Like, what's this? I thought there was going to be some sort of hidden adventure behind it. To be honest, I was a little bit disappointed when I found out there wasn't. And yeah, then of course came Super Mario World. Actually, to be honest, I played Yoshi's Island before Super Mario World, because when Super Mario World came out, we didn't have the internet or anything like that back then. I was too busy with Super Mario All-Stars to even find out or even go to a video club or anything like that and look up any other games. I was just all about Super Mario All-Stars, Super Mario 3, Super Mario 2, all of them. Super Mario 2 was actually quite unique, quite different from the others. Anyway, moving on. Yeah. So the first time I remember I actually went out to buy another game, I found Yoshi's Island. And I was like, what's this? what's this little dinosaur and a baby Mario and all that? Like, it was after I played Mario Kart, and I was like, yeah, it's cool. Like, I finished all the levels in Mario Kart. I took it as far as I could because, of course, it was Mario, so I had to finish it, right? And then I found Yoshi's Island, which I thought was amazing. I loved Yoshi. I loved all the little Yoshis, and the art style was so different compared to everything I've been used to with Mario up until that point. So, yeah, I really enjoyed that. And, yeah, so I completed Yoshi's Island, which was different. It was a different style of platformer and brought new ideas to the table. And I remember then I found Super Mario World. I found Super Mario World quite later. Of course, you know, me being me, I threw the cartridge in and I just played it to death. So, yeah, it was all those Mario games. Those were the start. That was my OG franchise. Like, in the meantime, I was also playing like the Game Boy ones, the Super Mario Land 1, 2, 3, and then Wario Land came out as well. I think that was a trilogy or 2 games. I don't know, it's been a while. And then, because I saw Donkey Kong in Mario Kart, I was like, okay, so that's a character I know and I feel comfortable with. So I started buying the Donkey Kong Country games on the Super NES, which was sort of like pseudo 3D because they had the elevated graphics, but it was still a side platformer, so it didn't really, like, yeah, it was, the graphics were better, the visuals were a lot better. I played that trilogy, Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3, there were 3 games there, and I think that was about it from the Super NES, which isn't little. There were quite a few games. I remember I had a good stack. And then I remember by the end of Donkey Kong Country 3, I was getting into my high school years. Meanwhile, don't forget I was coming and going from back and forth between Athens and Sydney. And, oh, what track is this? Gauss. Yeah, I was coming and going between Athens and Sydney in the meantime. So, again, if anyone could let me know if there's any issues with the stream or if there's anything going on that I need to fix, because as I said, this is my first stream, and yeah, I'd really appreciate it. You know, just to improve the quality both for me and for you and the output, because, you know, we're going to be here for a while, so we might as well make the best of it. So anyway, yeah. I was coming and going between Athens and Australia, but I remember when I started high school, there was this one kid, and he kept going on and on. Like, you know how you change friendships and people come and go between, like, elementary school and high school and all that. Things change, people change, you need to adapt. So as I was adapting, I met this one boy. Because I was sitting with him, right? We were sharing the same desk. So, sorry, I'm shaking the screen. He kept talking about this one game. We started becoming close, and he kept talking about this one game. Because we were talking to each other, and we realised that we shared hobbies, and we were both into gaming. And he said to me that, oh, I found this cool new game that it's with swords and guns and all that. And in the beginning here, it sort of alienated me, and I'm like, you know, I'm not into that kind of stuff. I'm more into Mario and all that. But he said, no, come over to my house and I'll show you this cool game. And I'm like, you know what? Okay. It was me and this other boy. We were both invited to his house after school one day. So he opens a PlayStation and we see these this 3D world, kind of blocky, but back then it was mind-blowing, revolutionary, and like characters with swords, as he said, with guns, with like a whole new world, incredible visuals. And we're both like, what is this? What kind of story is this? And he starts telling us about it, that like, yeah, I control this group of people that are out to save the world. Well, he didn't really go into it. We just started watching it, like, and talking about it more and more, because we'd end up going over to his house every second day just to find out what's going on in this game, which of course was called Final Fantasy VII. Long story short, I remember he would call Sephiroth, he kept calling him Serihov because it was hard for him to pronounce Sephiroth. Anyway, so yeah, we'd find out the story of Cloud and Serihov. And yeah, we would never get to play. Me and the other boy, we'd never get to play. It was just the guy whose house we'd go to. We'd just watch him play. But the thing is that we were so interested in the story and the characters, and we got so into it without even knowing how, right? We had no idea how we got into it. But we were just so invested in the story and the characters of Final Fantasy VII that we just kept wanting to know more and more about it. And not just the story, right? Even the gameplay or the materia setup, or like what kind of, did you find any new materia, or what else is there? Any other hidden secrets? Anything else that we should know about? Like, what kind of stuff is there that you may have found, and like, just tell us about it, and or we want to see it. What does this materia do? Did you find any other summons? And like, I remember the first time I saw the Kuyada or Hades summon, I was just like, whoa, dude. Like that is mind blowing. That is some good stuff. So yeah. Let me just change this. Sorry, I didn't like that track. And anyway, yeah, moving on from there, the other boy I was telling you about, because there were three of us, the one kid that was playing Final Fantasy VIII, and another boy. So the other boy, he bought a PC, which back then was a big deal, right? And PC gaming started becoming popular with games like Wolfenstein and Doom and stuff like that. So he said that he found another Final Fantasy. And we're like, oh, hang on, is this a sequel or something like that? And he says, no, it's called Final Fantasy VIII, but it's not a sequel. It's something completely new. And we're like, well, hang on, that doesn't really make sense, because first of all, we don't know anything about the previous games. Like, we were trying to find Final Fantasy VI, which back then in Europe, it was really hard to find, because, as you may know, it was rebranded Final Fantasy III and it was released on the Super Nintendo, but we had no clue about that. Not having internet, it was really hard to come across this sort of information. So, yeah, anyway, he got Final Fantasy VIII, but the thing is that back then, I maybe shouldn't be saying this live on stream, but it was really popular to burn games on discs for other people, and like he burned it for us. I remember he gave us the 4 blank discs, which he like contained had the game in them. And I remember I had a sort of clanky PC. It wasn't the best, like a Pentium 3 or something processor. Sorry, I keep knocking this desk. It's a very small desk. And I remember playing the game. I started disc 1, disc 2. It was sort of weird. Like, I feel like I didn't actually start the game on disc 1. I don't really remember. My memories are kind of foggy from back then. Sorry, it's been a while. And like, going into it, I remember I got to disc 3. I finished disc 3, and then I went to switch out disc 3 for disc 4, but it hadn't been burned properly. Or by burning, what does burning mean? It means taking the contents of one disc and putting it onto another, which that process wasn't most legal of processes, but we're moving on from that. And like, it hadn't been, the 4th disc of Final Fantasy VIII had not been burned properly, so it kept getting stuck. So I remember being stuck at the end of the third disc of Final Fantasy VIII and being like, okay, so what happens? I need to see what happens. But I couldn't. And I got him to do it again. It still wouldn't play for me because apparently it was his disc that was faulty, or his burner drive, I don't know. And yeah, I could never see it. Like for years, I was stuck not knowing what happens in disc 4 of Final Fantasy VIII. For me, it just ended at disc 3. And I was just like, okay, so I mean, I guess that's all she wrote, right? It just ends here. And for those of you who know what happens at the end of disc 3, let me just say it's quite a cliffhanger, right? But like, I think it was over a decade that I was just stuck without that knowledge until YouTube came into the picture, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to YouTube it because I don't know what happens, and I really need that information gap to be filled because I can't be living like this. You know, I can't be without that knowledge. It's been too long, and it's been long enough actually. So yeah, I went and I saw what happens, unfortunately, on YouTube. But you know what? At the end, eventually, I played it. Right? I don't think it was when 8 Remastered came out. I think it was before that. Don't ask me when. Don't ask me how. Oh, I think I downloaded it from the PlayStation Network or something like that. And I played it. To this day, it is my great shame that I do not own a physical copy of Final Fantasy VIII, which I should. Just never came into my hands. But anyway. Yeah, so eventually that knowledge gap was filled. That necessary knowledge gap was filled, but it took a while. Let me just tell you that. So after I got into Final Fantasy, I remember there was this place where you could go and pay, like we have internet cafes today. It was like this place where you could go and pay, and they had Nintendo 64s connected to TVs, and you could sit there and play for a while, like for an hour or two. So that was the first time I actually got to play an N64, and I was like, they had Mario 64 or Star Fox. I remember I enjoyed playing Star Fox, but when I got to Mario 64, I felt like I couldn't get into the direction they were taking the franchise and the whole industry. Like, I don't know. It was just like, it felt crazy to me. Like I was like used to seeing Mario going from left to right. And then when I saw this new blocky Mario going all over the screen, it just felt overwhelming to me, and I didn't like it. I was just like, what is happening? Where am I supposed to go? How am I supposed to know where I'm going? There's no direction. There's nothing. So that's when I decided that I don't like it. And that's when and because I had this excitement for Final Fantasy, I thought to myself, I want to make the jump, just like Squaresoft back then. I want to make the jump from Nintendo to Sony. So I bought myself a PlayStation, but I didn't actually buy the OG PlayStation, the grey one. No, I bought a smaller version of it, which was called the PS1. Look it up if you want. It was small, it was portable, and there was also a screen for it if you wanted to go and buy that as well. It was sold separately. I didn't buy that, but I had the tiny little PS1, and I could just move it around to, like, because we had like 3 TVs back then at home. So I just move it, like if my parents weren't at home, I'd take it into the living room, the big TV, or I'd just hook it up in the TV, in the small one in my room. Back then TVs were big. Like, they weren't like the really thin ones we have today. They came into the picture way later. Back then, they were blocky. They were really blocky. And I remember we had in the living room, we had a beast. you cannot imagine. It was huge, this thing. So anyway, I bought the PlayStation, and I was waiting because I knew Final Fantasy. By then, I started getting more information about the franchise, right? So I knew that Final Fantasy IX was coming out, or that it had already come out. And I was just literally begging my mother to give me the money to buy it, because I was in high school then, right? And I knew nothing about work. So eventually one day she wakes me up and she says, all right, how much do you want? And I'm like, don't ask me the amount. Anyway, she gave it to me and I just I flew to the store. And yeah, I picked it up. That's literally all she wrote. I remember, I think that weekend when I bought Final Fantasy 9, my parents happened to leave the house. So I took the PS1 into the living room. I hooked it up to the TV, the big monster TV that had a nice little, it was nice, you could see everything clearly. And oh my god, I think I just spent the whole weekend there. I literally can't remember doing anything else that weekend than playing Final Fantasy 9. By then, I think I wasn't really talking to those other two friends that we used to play Final Fantasy with, but I was into the franchise. Like, I was knees deep into the franchise. So yeah, it was just, I honestly think that when it comes to childhood memories, that would be my top 3. Like, just having Final Fantasy 9, and I still own that copy back there. So yeah, having Final Fantasy 9 and just playing the crap out of it. Sorry if I don't mean to curse, I don't want to curse on stream, but like, it was just, and I remember that, like, especially in the beginning, it gave me a really hard time because the mechanics were very different. Like, Final Fantasy, each Final Fantasy has very different mechanics from one to the other. And I respect the franchise for that. That's one of the things I love the most compared to about this franchise. So yeah, it was really hard to get into it, and there were some of the mechanics that I couldn't pick up or I didn't even know existed, right? And that's why some of the bosses, especially in the beginning, speak of the devil and he shall appear, they gave me a really hard time on Final Fantasy 9. And I was just like, man, especially on disc 1. Jeez. There was a boss near the end of disc 1 that I couldn't beat for the life of me. I just couldn't get through that boss. But eventually I just, you power through, right? You just keep going. You just keep trying, and eventually you get through the hurdles. And that's what makes RPGs so challenging, right? But it's worth the challenge because you want to see what happens next in the story, right? At least that's how it is for me. That's always how it's been for me. You play an RPG, yes, for the challenge, yes, for to see the mechanics and all that, but also for the story. That's always been the main reason that I've played RPGs. And yeah, Final Fantasy 9, just seeing that story, the picture book characters, and yeah, granted, Final Fantasy 9 had all those callbacks to the previous Final Fantasies. I picked up none of them, except for that one line near the end that mentions 2 of the main characters from the previous games. I picked that one up because it was just like, look, we're throwing it in your face, so you can't not notice it, right? I mean, yeah, at that point I was like, okay. But other than that, I didn't. But still, it didn't bother me, right? I was there for the experience. I was there for what that game gave me. I wasn't there for the callback because other than 7 and 8, I hadn't played any other Final Fantasy. And to be honest, I had no idea they existed in the world. So yeah, Final Fantasy 9 was like my first original full Final Fantasy experience. So I decided that it's like, yeah, this game is awesome. This franchise is awesome. I'm here for it. Just give me anything else that comes out of it. And yeah. Other than that, apart from that, well, I think that was the last Final Fantasy I played for a while because, as I said, then I got into high school, and then, after high school came other years. Well, after high school, you start doing other things, you go to uni, you start working. So I think it was quite a bit until I bumped into my next Final Fantasy, which happened rather randomly when I remember I was at a video club, and I was just browsing one day to find, I was actually looking for something to watch, like a cassette, a VHS. Yes, I am from that era. VHS or DVD or something like that. And then I went into the gaming section, and I remember bumping into Dirge of Cerberus. Yes, Final Fantasy VII, Dirge of Cerberus, right? And I was like, whoa, hang on a minute. What's going on? Final Fantasy VII has a continuation and I don't know about it? Like, well, what's going on? And funny thing is, I got Dirge of Cerberus, I played through it. I'm not the biggest fan of shooters, but, you know, I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the developments of the story. And then after that, I realized that Dirge of Cerberus was part of something bigger called the compilation series, a compilation of Final Fantasy VII. So then I went out and I bought Advent Children. I saw Advent Children. But, you know, that was like the internet had sort of come into our lives back then. And I sort of realized that there were other things coming out, like Final Fantasy X and 12. Had 12 come out? Yeah, 12 had come out by then. So we're talking about after, like, late 2000s. And there was a whole bunch of content, Final Fantasy content, that I was entirely unaware of. Like, I remember I had a PlayStation 2, but it was mainly for playing, like, FIFA with my mates and stuff. And the Final Fantasy stuff just sort of like threw me for a loop, because I was just like, look at all this stuff. Like, and I remember how much of a great time I had with Final Fantasy 9. And after playing Dirge of Cerberus, I'm like, I need to catch up. I'm sorry, I keep bumping the head. I need to, you know, get into it again. So after Dirge of Cerberus and after watching Advent Children, I played Final Fantasy X. I mean, what can you say about Final Fantasy X, right? Where can you start and where can you finish? I personally remember being like slammed in the head by the incredible character that is Auron. Like, yeah, Tidus, I like Tidus. And I thought Yuna's character arc was really amazing to see. Even back then, I thought it was great to see how she had grown from like the timid little, oh, hello, how you going, little summoner, to no, I'm the defiant summoner that will destroy everything that came before and create a new status quo for Spira and for the world. That was amazing. But like for me, the main character, like looking at it back then from a fresh perspective, just like Tidus was looking at Spira from a fresh perspective, right? So looking at the story of Final Fantasy X from a fresh perspective, I thought the main character was Auron, because he's the one you see in the beginning, right? He's the one you see in the first cutscene. Well, you see Tidus for a bit. And I will only call him Tidus, and we will only call him Tidus on this channel, okay? So you see Tidus for a bit, and yeah, you see that big. But the one you see first and foremost is Auron. The game is calling your attention to Auron. And like the things that Auron has gone through throughout the story. And it's like, for me, he was the main character because he was the one that brought past and future together, or past and present together, right? So his whole journey for me is what created Final Fantasy, created the events of Final Fantasy X. Because if it wasn't for Auron, like, you could do without some of the other characters. Like if Wakka wasn't there, or Riku, or Kimahri. I mean, yeah, maybe Kimahri, like, but Auron, he's the cornerstone. He's the basis, right, for Final Fantasy X. And that's why for me, always, he is the main character of Final Fantasy X, no matter what anyone says. I mean, I've heard other perspectives that say Yuna is the main character. And I'm like, yeah, I respect that. I respect that as well. But I'm just telling you how I saw it from during my time with it back then. I loved Orin. He was never out of my team. He was such a boss. He was such like I can't understand how you would do a Final Fantasy X playthrough without Orin in your team, right? And yeah, it was an incredible game. I enjoyed it. Like I said, every Final Fantasy is incredible. And I'm going to say that for every Final Fantasy. Like, it was incredible. But what made Final Fantasy X different, you might ask? The music, first of all. The idea. Yeah, the battle system was fun. I enjoyed it. But yeah, the idea of upsetting the balance, of disrupting the balance, of coming up with new ideas to challenge what already exists. Okay, this is getting kind of loud. Is that loud? No, sorry. Yeah, that's what I thought was the most intriguing part. Like, because I feel like Tidus was asking the questions that we as players were asking as well. It's like, why is this like this, and why have you never questioned it, right? And Orin was there to sort of like smash through it. Orin was there. He was like, I'm fed up with this. These ideas that have been around for thousands of years killed my friends, and I'm not going to deal with it anymore. So yeah, that's what I thought was so cool about Orin. He patiently and calmly went about things, but you could feel that there was a quiet rage within him. Yeah. And after Final Fantasy X, actually, I think after Final Fantasy X and before Final Fantasy XII, there was a funny story because, as I said, there was a compilation series out of Final Fantasy VII, and at that time, Crisis Core came out, but it was only available on the PSP, the portable PlayStation. So what did I do? I went and got myself a job just so I could buy the PlayStation Portable and Crisis Core, which is the only game I played on that device. I bought Dissidia as well, the fighting game, but I didn't like it, so I just didn't bother with it. And also downloaded a demo of Agito 13 later on, which was in Japanese, so I couldn't understand it. I played it a bit and then I deleted it. But yeah, the only full game I played on the PSP was Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII. And Crisis Core, jeez. Crisis Core was like, if you don't know much about the world of Final Fantasy VII, I don't want to spoil too much, but which, now that I think of it, I probably just spoiled the whole plot of Final Fantasy X, didn't I? So sorry about that. Anyway, Crisis Core was like, it was just a story of Zack Fair, you know? But the gameplay was fun too. And like, for me, playing a Final Fantasy game, I'm not used to having just one character, but they made it really fun. They made it intriguing. Yeah, you learn the story of Zack Fair, who's, I don't want to say hidden character, he was kind of like the protagonist behind the protagonist of Final Fantasy VII. I'll leave it at that. And if you've played, or if you know about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, then you know about Zack Fair, inevitably. He's the black-haired one with the sword, with the big sword, right? He's the black-haired one that carries the big buckler sword. So that's Zack Fair. Anyway. And recently, Crisis Core Reunion was released, which is a remastered version of that game that was only available on PSP. Yeah. Then I played Final Fantasy XII, which, surprisingly, even though I didn't like it as much as like 9 or 10 or 7, I think I spent twice as many hours on it, just because the content was there. Just because there was so many things to do on it, especially the hunts and all that. Yeah, there were a lot of stuff there. A lot of stuff to do. So, Final Fantasy XII was... I mean, I know we say that each Final Fantasy is different from the other, but Final Fantasy XII was a steep departure from everything that had come before. I felt like it was their way of saying that this franchise is growing up, is maturing. We're moving it into a completely different direction. I mean, don't get me wrong, Final Fantasy X had its grown-up themes as well, right? With Titus and Yuna, or with the world of, like, it tackled themes like religion and all that. But Final Fantasy XII was totally different. It was like characters spoke a language that was hard to understand if you weren't a little bit educated, right? You need to know your stuff if you're going to dive into Final Fantasy XII. You can't just be like, oh, cool, yeah, let me play this game. No, you need to be a little bit educated if you're going to play that game. Because apart from the language that the characters speak, which is heavy English, right? It's not just your common everyday, oh, hey bro, what's up? It's like deep English, which back then I sort of had to like focus to understand it, because as I said, coming back and forth between Greece and Australia, you miss some words, you here and there, both languages. So other than that, the political theme was like very heavily present in Final Fantasy XII. Like a lot of politics, a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Oh wait, see what I was saying earlier? It's like you miss some words. Anyway, underhandedness. There were themes here that showed you that this game is trying to help the franchise mature, and maybe help its audience mature as well. Because, maybe they were thinking that people have been with this franchise from a young age, and, maybe it's time for them and the franchise to grow up a little and see that there's other things in the world. And, it's not always black and white. We're not always just out there to beat a big boss, or it's not just kingdoms under threat or something like that. There's countries and nations, and things happen in those nations, and there's people, and I'm not explaining it well, but I just feel like Final Fantasy XII had a different proposition for the franchise. So I respected it. It wasn't my favorite Final Fantasy. I'll be honest with you on that. Final Fantasy XII is not my favorite. Like, you'll hear some people say, "Oh, damn, the Ivalice Alliance was the best, and they need to bring it back, and they should do more on it." I'm like, it's all right. But I respected it. I respected the proposition, and of course, if they were ever to go back there, if they were ever to come up with another game, I'd play it happily, and I'd enjoy it for what it is. It was a good proposition. It was enjoyable, and the side content was there. And of course, gameplay-wise, it took the franchise to a different direction where things slowly, processes are becoming faster, so things are becoming more automated. Of course, the Gambit system took like ages to understand, and things just didn't work as you wanted them to. In the beginning, you had to take some time to like study it and understand it, and by the time you bought all the different Gambits that were around, right? God, they charged you for everything in that game. But anyway, once you got things down and you created your own strategy, it really worked. Now, the funny thing is, as I said, I spent a lot of time with this game. I spent like hundreds of hours with Final Fantasy XII, because I had found out there was like a top hunt. Like, you do hunts in these games, like Monster Hunter, right? So there was this big monster at the end of it that had like it was a lot of people will know about it. It's notorious in the franchise. It was popular. It still is. It had like millions of HP. Let me just say that. I wanted to get it. I wanted the opportunity to fight it because, you're always proud of your accomplishments. So I remember going out, getting the best weapons I could, finding the best weapons I could, and armor and gambits and everything, and unlocking the licenses, everything I could, right? And I beat all the previous hunts up until that point. And when I got to it, I'm like, you know what? No, I'm exhausted. I just can't do it anymore. I remember, because I spent literal sleepless nights on this game, right? I remember there were like nights that I just stay on my PS2, going after hunt, after looking for hidden weapons. No, I didn't find the Zodiac Spear. And just trying to get to that end point. And when I got to it, I'm like, you know what? This guy's got millions of HP. I don't want to fight him. I'm okay with myself. I've got to this point. This is endgame. You don't really need to do this, right? I mean, we're here. We've made it. I gave myself a pat on the back. I said, I remember I started the fight. I wasn't losing, but it started to drag out. And I think I got to about 40 minutes, and I read on a guide that this fight takes about 3 hours. I was like, I'm not doing this. I've had it. I don't want to fight anymore. You know what? I'm okay with it. And why? And I was questioning, why would you make this? Like, what are you trying to prove? I don't want to sit on a console for 3 hours. It's not like accounting the hours. Like back then, gaming companies didn't need to count the hours that people spent on their consoles. So I just didn't get it. And I was looking at that thing and I'm like, I don't need to beat it. I'm okay with myself. I've beaten every other boss. I've taken down every other hunt up until this point. So it's cool, Yeah, we're okay. So I let things be. I let the monster live, very charitably, and I moved on. And I closed the book on Final Fantasy 12. But at that point, I was keeping tabs on the franchise. I didn't let it go anymore. I was noticing what's happening, keeping tabs on any news coming from game conferences or anything like that. So I had my radar on for Final Fantasy 13. Anything else in the meantime? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember. No, not really. So yeah, I had my radar on for Final Fantasy 13. I was making sure that when it came out, I'd pop out and get it. And yeah, I bought a PS3 and I played Final Fantasy, which, yeah, I know opinions are mixed on Final Fantasy 13. When it came out, let me tell you, mate, the hate it got, jeez. It wasn't easy being a pro Final Fantasy gamer during the time when 13 was released. And not when it was released, because people were looking forward to it and they bought it in droves. It just flew off the shelves because the trailers and all that, people were like, oh yeah, hype. And the way it was advertised, it was like a modern day Final Fantasy 7. Let me tell you, it wasn't that. Because when you hear Final Fantasy, you expect certain things. You expect, Final Fantasy Rebirth, for example. You expect towns, you expect exploration, you expect mini games, you expect armor and a deep, meaningful combat system. You expect airships, you expect an open world, you expect weapons, you expect optional bosses, you expect music, you expect a great story, a deep story with fantastic characters. And let me tell you, most of those boxes, Final Fantasy 13 did not tick them. It just left them there. Some people call it a hallway simulator. And they're not too far off the mark. Let me tell you, you have to be able to appreciate a game for what it is to understand what Final Fantasy 13 was trying to do. I feel like they were trying to approach modern gaming for what it is. Like it was Square Enix is back then. Like, don't forget, Squaresoft had gone through a transition to become Square Enix. They had acquired Enix, the developers of Dragon Quest. So it was a transitional period. We'll talk about Final Fantasy XIV a little later. And yeah. So I feel like they focused on the element of graphics because their idea was that Final Fantasy must stand at the pinnacle of visual and audio quality. And they achieved that with Final Fantasy XIII. They definitely achieved that. It's a marvel to look at, and it can stand on its own even till today. It's an incredible game visually. Like, it's stunning. And like, and the characters, like, you can really feel the life in them. You can really feel that they have their goals, they have their missions. Each character you can feel their individuality, or what they're going for, or what what their hopes and dreams are, or their disappointments, shock, all of that. It comes through in the game. But the thing is that in going for that, in going for the the highest quality in certain aspects, they missed out. That they completely skipped the ball on the other aspects that are what makes a Final Fantasy. And yeah, that left a lot of people disappointed because, yeah, for me personally, a Final Fantasy game is about the story and about the characters. Don't get me wrong, and I enjoyed it. I really liked Final Fantasy XIII, and back then that was hard to say in an internet forum. It was really hard to say. You felt like you had to walk on eggshells, but a lot of people, they were openly against it, and they were openly angry at Square Enix, and that sort of like left a bad, a negative mark on the company, which, when combined with the terrible launch of Final Fantasy XIV, the alpha version, it sent things sort of like downhill. But I'm talking about myself now, not the company. So yeah, I enjoyed Final Fantasy XIII. I enjoyed it so much that I wanted to play the sequels. So I bought both sequels, 13-2 and Lightning Returns, and I played them. I followed them like religiously because I wanted to know. I was invested to know what was happening with those characters, firstly, and secondly because we knew about, like, yes, we knew about the Fabula Nova Chrysalis, the whole compilation back then. I wouldn't call it a compilation. It was a universe, right? So we knew about Versus 13 and Agito 13, but it was going to be, we kept being told that it was going to be a while until we learn anything more about those games. So if there was any morsel of Final Fantasy to be played and enjoyed at that time, it was only going to be 13. So I was like, you know what? I'd rather play 13-2 than get no Final Fantasy at all for years to come. Because to be honest, I wasn't really interested in any other game apart from the occasional FIFA game I might have played with my friends at that period. So yeah, 13-2. And I'm really glad that I played 13-2 because that features one of my personal favorite characters and villains in the franchise. I won't say who. I'll just say he's a time traveler who came from a very difficult period. And yeah, and one of the two villains in the whole franchise that actually wins, that actually comes out with a win. Okay, so yeah, that's what I enjoyed. That's why I enjoyed playing the sequels to Final Fantasy 13. Yeah. After 13, what happened? Well, 13.2 and Lightning Returns. Funny story about Lightning Returns. I remember during the launch I was in London, and there was an event, a launch event at a shop, one of the big gaming department stores in London, and Yoshinori Kitase was there. So I went and I got him to sign my Steelbook edition, and I got a picture taken with him as well. And to this day, it's one of my most prized photos. I'm like, oh my god, I took a picture with Yoshinori Kitase. I'm trying to think which game came after Lightning Returns. Was it there wasn't anything else for the PS3. Then we jumped into the PS4 era. During the PS4 era, I started like playing other games too, not just Final Fantasy, because I started thinking that I'm missing out. Like I got into Kingdom Hearts and Uncharted and Assassin's Creed and all of that, you know, especially during COVID. Jeez, I played everything. You know, I never got into Halos or like shooters or online shooters like you know, or anything like Fortnite. I don't play that stuff. Just so you know, there won't be anything like that here. But yeah, it was interesting because I remember that the next Final Fantasy that came out was another one from hey Kakatron, hey, great to have you here. Thanks for joining. You're the first one. Welcome. So, as I was saying, I was playing, the PlayStation 4 came out, and the Final Fantasy Type 0 was released, which was a remastered version of what was known back then as Final Fantasy Agito 13, right? So, Final Fantasy Agito 13 was part of the Fabula Nova Chrysalis compilation. Anyway, so yeah, it was a very different game. Type 0 was a full-on departure. Like if 12 was a proposition for something more mature, Type 0 took it full-on, took that proposal and moved all the way, took a 180. Because like if you compare Final Fantasy 9 to Final Fantasy Type 0, it's like night and day. Like, and you'd say like Final Fantasy 9 is bright and happy, and Final Fantasy Type 0 is like death and despair, and just like, I remember the first scene of Type 0, they literally shoot a chocobo in the head, and you're like, dude, how could you do that? Don't shoot the chocobo. And you can just see it bleeding. It's like, mate, I mean, I understand that you want something more mature, but like, don't shoot the chocobo. Anyway, yeah, that was the game. And it was fun. It brought back a lot of the things that people were calling out for, like towns, like a world map, like an airship, and all of that. But it was dark. That game was dark. Like, yeah. Blood and guts everywhere. I mean, not guts, not gore. It didn't have gore, but it was definitely mature. And the way it ended, oh my god. Like, I think I've played quite a few video games, so it's a little bit difficult for me to remember, but I think the ending of Final Fantasy Type 0 was the first time I cried at a video game. It was so emotionally heavy, and that transit. I'm trying not to spoil stuff here, but that transition between the second last and the last chapter was like bang, and I'm like, what? It just changes. The tone changes so suddenly, and you're like, what's going on? It just like, it has this one line that you hear. The screen goes from black as you're waiting to see what happens next. You know, like the transition. You know, you have the black screen and then it moves on, and as you're waiting for things to move on from the black screen, it just turns red, and you hear this one line in a really heavy voice, and you're like, what? What's going? And I was playing. I remember it was quite late when I was playing, and I had this very small light in my room, and I was like, what just happened? What's going on? I just freaked out because of the way it was delivered and the way it happened and the red screen. And there were screams in the background. And I don't do well with horror games because, like, my parents bought me Resident Evil Nemesis when I got the PS1. And I just got, like, freaked out from that game. So anyway, yeah, it gave me those sort of vibes. And I'm like, what is happening? What's going on? Do I turn this off? Yeah, it was that sort of thing. Like, the transition. Like, yes, there's blood and guts in the opening of the game, but it's sort of like on a level. Like, it shows you that this is the reality of war, right? But without spoiling too much, the last chapter of Final Fantasy Type 0 just goes nuts with all of it. And you're just left there. If you don't understand too much about this story, you're just left there scratching your head and you're like, what happened? What am I doing? And then that ending comes, like, you get through the final chapter and then the ending kicks in and it's just like buckets. You're just sitting there and you're just, God, why? I mean, eventually everything is explained, of course. You understand why it happened and why it had to happen, all of it, but it's just heavy. I mean, I've played 16 now. That's also quite heavy, but I don't know. I'd give Type 0 and 16 the same emotional weight, and people brush Type 0 off and they think that, oh yeah, this is no, mate. Final Fantasy Type 0 is heavy stuff. You need to have the guts for it. Anyway. And then, funnily enough, I got the platinum for Type 0 because why not? And then, pulling a complete 180, Square Enix released World of Final Fantasy, which is like a picture book. And you're just sitting there like, mate, where do you stand on this franchise? Is it happy or is it... It was a complete 180 after the death and despair of Type 0 to have a picture book like full of little chibi characters jumping on one another and like blowing bubbles and all that. It was it felt good. It felt like a breath of fresh air. But at the same time, you're like, dude, where do we stand? And then, as a total equilibrium, we got Final Fantasy 15. Which was previously known as Final Fantasy Versus 13. Okay, yes, let's get through that. We didn't get Final Fantasy Versus 13. That's a legend. That's an urban legend at this point. It exists in someone's drawer, maybe Tetsuya Nomura's drawer in Square Enix's office, or maybe at his house, I don't know. Maybe he's going to do something with it for Kingdom Hearts 4. Those concept art, I don't know. But we got 15. What we got is 15. And we got a nice game in 15, all right? I don't know. Some people have their own opinions, and that's fair, and that's cool. But I like 15. Some people might not. Some people might not have enjoyed it as much. Fair play to them. It wasn't released. It wasn't complete when it released. It had a very troublesome development cycle. Versus 13, 15, or yeah. And then we got pieces of it delivered as DLC. Yes, okay. That's all fair. It's all fair in Love and War. I liked it. I liked what it had to say. I feel like the first part we got of it was exclusively for Noctis, right? Exclusively for the main character. And then the other bits were like, so we're giving you this for the main character. This is the main character story, right? The DLC was for the other characters. And I'm like, okay, it's fair. So we're focusing on each character separately. And that was cool. And I really liked the last one, which was focused on the main villain, because he was great. I really liked the delivery of his lines and all that. But we got to find out what made him like that too. And of course, there was a whole bunch of content. Final Fantasy 15. There was a movie. There was anime, which all of it they very cleverly they released that before the game. Yes, to get people hyped up for the release of the game, but also to get people involved in the story, in what the game's about, in the creating of the universe. So yeah, good on them. Anyway, yeah, 15. Then, of course, we got the 7 remake. I mean, yeah, well, not much to say about that. You already know the story's still going about the 7 remake. It's a bit of a departure from the OG and from what I remember of the OG. But different universes, different timelines. Look, it's there. That's what it is. Take it or leave it. We'll have to wait till part 3 to see what it's all about. And I also respect it, what they thought, that like we can't just release it again. We can't just remake it in better graphics and give it to them. This is a classic game. We need to do something better. We need to come up with different ideas for it. And that's a good attitude to have. It's because we're not just going to heat this up and serve it to you. No, we respect our consumers too much to just re-deliver this, to just remake it, even though that's what a lot of people wanted, right? But no, they want to do better. They want to take it a step further for us. They want to take it a little bit further. They want to do better, and they're doing this for us, for the consumer. I mean, yes, of course, they're selling this product, and they expect to make money from this product. Okay, that's understandable. But I feel that passion is there, that passion to do more, to deliver something greater, to deliver something better for us, the players. And I think that's respectable. I think that's commendable, actually. Because they could have very easily remade this in one or two pieces at the most, 2 games at the most, and they could have already been done with it. They could have already said, you know what, we're wiping our hands clean with it. This is what you asked for, take it and leave us alone. And we would have been okay with it. We would have been happy. But I don't know. I like the idea of giving this franchise more room to... this series, sorry, not franchise. Of giving this game more room to breathe. It deserves it. It's a classic. And you've got the original developers there, right? So give them the space as well to expand on their ideas, expand on their original ideas. Like maybe they wanted to do stuff with the scenario or the script or the characters that they just didn't have the time or the ability to. Don't forget, technology was quite limited back in 1997. They just couldn't do what they wanted to do. Or don't forget that since then, Final Fantasy VII has expanded even further. It's become like a full-on compilation. Like we've got characters now, like as we saw in Intergrade, we've got Vice and Nero. Yeah, they could do a whole bunch of stuff with these characters and not just let them be. And by doing this, they're making even more people happy. They're giving even more content to people who want to see these characters, want to know what happened to these characters, or where they came from, or their origin, or just to see them, you know. It's like fan service. Why not? I say the more Final Fantasy VII we get, the better we'll be, because this is a game that's loved by millions of people around the world. It's not just like 1 or 2 people. The cries for a Final Fantasy VII remake, the calls for this game to be delivered in better graphics, in better visuals and better sound quality, with the voice acting and all that, have been coming since, I think, from what I can remember, the early 2000s, right? Like, at least since the PS2 era. No, the PS3 era, when that tech demo showed up, which Honestly, that was the biggest mistake. They should never have given that to us. But yeah, I feel like they were testing the waters to see if like there was a market for it. And yeah, it's like we've always wanted this. So if we're gonna get it, we might as well get it to the best of their capabilities. And if this is their best, if this is what they want to do with it, then fair play. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to say, oh yeah, like, even if I don't agree with it, right? Even if sometimes like I might squint my eyes when I'm seeing Cloud, Sephiroth, and a whole bunch of timelines zooming in the background, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Well, that's the mystery. That's what you want to know. That's the new element, and that's the element that's been added. Look, if this was a brand new team, like if this was Hamaguchi and 300 people that have no idea what Final Fantasy VII is, I would be like, this is disrespectful. But we're talking about Kitase's there, Nomura's there, Hamaguchi's there, not Hamaguchi, and Nojima's there, even Uematsu is there. So you can't say that this is disrespectful to the franchise because these are the people that made this game. So honestly, it's their work. They can do whatever they want with it, and we should just be happy that we're along for the ride. That's how I see the remake project. It's their work. So honestly, like if someone wants to come in and take this, if the person who made this wants to come in and take it and say, no, I forgot to do a couple of squiggles, or I can do better with it, what am I going to say? No. I mean, maybe that's a bit of a strange logic to it, but that's how I see it. Anyway, and yeah, finally there was Final Fantasy. Oh, before I go into Final Fantasy 16, yeah, Final Fantasy 14. Whew. How much time you got? No, just kidding. I didn't play the alpha version of Final Fantasy 14. I just heard the turnout from it. I was there for all that. I remember hearing people blaming Square Enix and being like, oh, that's terrible, what have you done, and all that. But like I've said during the stream, I'm not into MMOs, I'm not into that type of stuff, so I don't mingle with it. But yeah, I don't really get into it. But when I remember I was watching E3 so I could learn more about Final Fantasy 13, the 13 trilogy, and any other Final Fantasy games. And at that time, they had this program called Square Enix Presents. And during that program, Naoki Yoshida would come on, and he'd showcase the updated version of Final Fantasy 14, A Realm Reborn, for those of you who don't know. And I kept checking it out, and I kept thinking, it's not bad, it's alright. Of course, back then it was hard to have a steady internet connection, especially with a PS3. But I thought I wanted to give it a go, I wanted to try it out. I had no idea about MMOs, like I said, but when it launched, I gave it a go. It seemed alright. It was very slow. But I got into the story. I made my character, Alexander Holy Knight. He's still hanging in there strong. And, you know, I got into the story. I played through it, the whole thing, from start to end. And I liked it. It was a good story. It was interesting, you know, with Sid and I won't say more. Yeah. So I just kept following through with it. You know, I mean, it was Final Fantasy content, which I'm always into. It was an interesting game. Why not? So the patches kept coming out afterwards. I kept downloading them. I kept joining in for the fun, for the content. And then when Heavensward, sorry, can't pronounce it. When Heavensward came around, I joined into that as well. I downloaded it, I played it, because back then, you know, with the patches that were coming out, I downloaded the last patch before Heavenswood, and I was like, that's a good ending. That's an interesting ending, and that's a real cliffhanger. They did a good job. So, yeah. It sort of left me no choice. And by then, the connectivity was getting a lot better. From my hands. Yeah, sorry. The connectivity was getting a lot better. And yeah, I joined in for Heavenswood. And yeah. Since then, I just kept going. It was, after a certain point, it just became a no-brainer to play Final Fantasy XIV and to download the latest patch. I was just like, I'm here for this, right? I want to see what happens to the character. Maybe at some point I'd stop downloading like 1 or 2 patches and I'd just download them all together and play them all together, because sometimes you've got other things to do, you're playing other games or life gets in the way, right? But I would always play. Like I'd always get back into it. And back then it's not as easy to get into as it is today, because if you missed 1 or 2 patches, you'd have to find people to do the dungeons with, and it wasn't easy. And back then the community, especially in the beginning, like A Realm Reborn and Heavenswood, the community wasn't as welcoming as it is today. So yeah, not that easy. But I got through it. I got through the hurdles. I got through the phase of learning an MMO or learning how to play, or, I was always a tank. I always played as a tank. I started off as a paladin, and then I mained Dark Knight, which was really cool. I liked the Dark Knight. And he had a nice storyline as well, from Heavenswood all the way to Shadowbringers. Yeah, Shadowbringers, I think, was my favourite expansion, because I feel like it focused on Dark Knight, and I was like, okay, this is the place for me. This is where I should be. The first. Leave me at the first. Yeah. But it was so cool. And as it kept going, that story just kept becoming more and more intriguing. It was just like, you'd play Final Fantasy XIV, you'd get to the end point, and then they very masterfully keep dropping these little hints, just enough to keep you coming back. And you'd be like, damn it, I don't have a choice. I have to buy the next patch, don't I? And yeah, after a certain point, I remember I got to Endwalker. I remember playing through Endwalker, and near the end, like, there's one scene, like, if you've played it, you know what I'm talking about, where you're near the end of everything, and this music comes on, this epic music comes on, and you hear these lines from these random ghosts, and these lines come from all the way back from A Realm Reborn, throughout the different expansions and patches. You just heard them randomly, like they were spoken from random characters throughout the journey, right? Throughout the adventure. But if you've been with A Realm, if you started from A Realm Reborn, like all the way back then, 2013, and you stuck with it till Endwalker, those lines hit so hard. Like, I remember I got to a point that I was just sitting there listening to those lines and crying. And I'm like, I can't play anymore. I dropped my controller. I was just, as I'm thinking about it right now, I'm getting emotional about that scene, because it hit so hard. Like, those lines were so heavy, and I remember some of them. I remember when they were said, by which character they were said, and at what point they were said, at what point in the story. And I was like, mate, stop hitting me in the eyes, stop hitting me in the feels. It just kept going and going, and you went through, like, to get to your destination, you went through like 12 characters. And with the music and the lines hitting you one after another from different characters throughout, as I said, A Realm Reborn to Shadowbringers, you're just like, nah, you're doing too much to me, game. I can't move forward anymore without crying buckets of tears. I think I had to do it like 3 times, because I kept putting my controller down and my game kept disconnecting, so I had to do it like 3 times. I had to do it 3 times. It kept disconnecting. Like, I don't think anyone's watching this, but like when I and oh my god! And the funny thing is, I couldn't record it or anything. I wanted to keep that, but there was no way to record it or anything. Like going back and replaying it had no value. I wanted to record it at that exact moment, but I couldn't. Anyway, but yeah. So, which is why when I finished Endwalker, I put the game down. Like I know it got Dawn Trail now. I haven't played Dawn Trail. I finished my adventure. I hung up my keyboard in Final Fantasy XIV with Endwalker because I felt like a complete. It felt like a full circle, right? Like they couldn't do any. First of all, I felt like they couldn't do anything to top it, story-wise. Secondly, for me, it felt like I had done everything I wanted to do in that game. There was nothing else, and they've said it too. Like Dawn Trail is, it's the start of a new adventure, and honestly, I didn't want to go through with that. I didn't want to go through with a brand new adventure that would take another decade from my life. Not that I mind playing Final Fantasy XIV. It's just that I don't know. I felt ready for more adventures, other adventures. Don't know. But yeah, Final Fantasy XIV was an on and off decade of my life that I'll always cherish. It was incredible. It was incredible. Hey Toby, how's it going? Welcome in. Thanks for joining the chat. And yeah, after that, Final Fantasy 16. You know, all good. Just talking. This is the first ever live stream of this channel. So as I said earlier, as I said near the beginning, I'm just talking about me and how I got into gaming, and then after that, I'm going to talk about how what this channel is about and what you can expect from this channel. That's about it. So yeah, I got into I played Final Fantasy 16 after that, which I didn't really. I'm not really an action adventure type of person. I have played quite a few action adventure games now that I think about it, but I just didn't feel that was the right direction for the franchise, because you don't have any party members in Final Fantasy 16. You don't have any fellow characters. Like, yeah, you get Sid and Jill, but they feel like not even side characters. Side characters, okay, but they're not party members. They're not main characters, right? I don't know how else to say. You don't get to equip them. You don't get to have them, control them, you know. So that's why for me, Final Fantasy 16 felt like a strong departure from the franchise. Granted, every Final Fantasy mixes it up and changes what the franchise does. But I always felt that the root of Final Fantasy is to be an RPG, and this one wasn't. But anyway, I feel like, you know, they tried it. They tried their hands with an action adventure game, or action RPG, if that's what you want to call it. And yeah, okay. Some people liked it, some people didn't. The visuals were mind-blowing. The story was all right. I liked the story. But I don't know. It was a strong departure. Like, story-wise, I felt like it was coming back to the roots of what makes a Final Fantasy. But I don't know. It just felt like the gameplay went the other end. Like, even the strongest, like the most completely different Final Fantasy that we've had before that, like, I don't know which one, like Tactics, like Final Fantasy 13, like even Lightning Returns. They all felt quite different, right? But they were all RPGs. You could call them all RPGs. Final Fantasy 16 wasn't an RPG, and like to this day, like okay, Tactics is a tactical RPG, but you still feel that RPG element in it. Like you can take your time sorting out your strategy and all that, but 16 is just like bam, bam, bam all the time. It doesn't give you the time to sort out which, you know, on the other end, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is a modern game, it's like it was released last year, right? After 16. But it still gives you the time to think about your setup before fighting, or think about what you want to do, or switch around characters during the battle. So it's not to say that there's no room in this world for those types of games. And honestly, if we're talking about the future, I would like to see a potential collaboration for Final Fantasy 17. I'd like, and I'm hoping to see a potential collaboration between Square Enix and Mistwalker, because we've already seen that with Fantasia Neo Dimension. So there's room there for further collaboration. And with that, you could bring the father of the Final Fantasy franchise, Hironobu Sakaguchi. You could bring him back as the producer of that game for one last hurrah. And you could make the game, you could have a return to turn-based or ATB or whatever. Because we've seen that there are games in the world, like Persona, Metaphor, or soon to come Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which still utilize those mechanics, those role-playing game mechanics. There's still room for them in this world. Alright, that is way too loud. Easy there. So anyway, that's just me thinking out loud. That's about it. Is that it? That's about it with me and Final Fantasy. I've been to concerts and all that, but and I remember I started branching out from Final Fantasy after watching the 2013 E3 Sony press conference when they rebranded Versus 13 to 15. And then immediately after, they showed the Kingdom Hearts 3 reveal trailer. And I remember seeing everyone in the audience being like, oh yeah, Kingdom Hearts. And I'm like, what? What's Kingdom Hearts? And yeah, I got intrigued. I saw that it also features Final Fantasy characters, and it's also a Square Enix franchise. So I thought to myself, all right, let's back up. There we go. So I thought to myself, yeah, why not? Let's get into it. So I went out. By then, there was the remix, 1.5 remix, or whatever they call it, with a compilation of games. So I bought that. I played on the PS3, and I also played 2.5, which came out a little later, and I got into Kingdom Hearts as well. So yeah, I'm down that rabbit hole. If you're interested, I've played all those games. Then, once during the PS4 era, I started branching out, started playing other stuff too. Like, I remember I won this copy of Uncharted 4. This is a very funny story. Like, we went to this very small gaming expo. I wouldn't even call it an expo. It was just like a meetup of gamers. This factory with one of my mates. And the guy that was on stage, there was a presentation of games, and the guy was on stage is like, all right, we're heading towards the end, so we're going to give out some prizes. So whoever comes on stage and sings the Pokemon theme song will win some prizes. And I turned around to my mate and I said to him, come on, let's go up. And he says, no. I said, come on. So I practically had to drag him up, and we go up and we started singing. We're like, I want to be the... We sang the whole thing, right? And there were just like 10, 20 people in the audience, and they clapped, and, you know, like we got through it. We survived. I remember I did most of the singing. He was just like, me. But yeah, we got through it. We survived. And after that, we walked out. The presenter said to us, "All right, head towards the exit, and before you go, tell them to give you a prize." So we walked out. He got like this headset, and they gave me a disc, and I'm like, "Okay, thanks." I thought it was a demo. Honestly, I thought it was just going to be a demo. Anyway, we're walking out, and I said, "Nice, mate. You want a headset? That's amazing. You could use that." Yeah, he says, "I'll probably use it on my PC and all that." He was big on PC gaming. Anyway, he says to me, "What did you win?" I said, "I think it's a demo." And I look at the disc, and it says Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. And I'm like, "Mate, I got Uncharted." And like back then, it had just released, right? It was right around then it had just released. And I'm like, "No way, I just want Uncharted 4. And he says, "Mate, you're kidding. That's mind-blowing." And like, I just want Uncharted just for singing the bloody Pokemon theme song. That's insane. So anyway, yeah. That's how I started playing Uncharted. And that's literally how I started branching out from Pokemon and Kingdom Hearts. And well, actually, I was into Pokemon quite heavily in high school. I played Red and Blue, and I got into the trading card game, but that's a story for another day. So yeah, that's how I branched out from Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts, and I started playing a variety of other games like Uncharted, like Assassin's Creed, are two of my big franchises. I played other games too, like for some reason South Park starts popping in my head. You can see Cartman up there.
Damn it.
Yeah. I don't know. I played a whole bunch of other games, which I can't really remember. And then during COVID, it was even more. I bought a Switch and I got back into the Mario games too. I don't know. I can't really remember. Like, you know, when you want to remember something, but it just won't come to mind. I remember playing a lot of Persona during COVID, and I also played the other Atlas game, Catherine. That's something comes to mind. Played some indie games here and there. You know, whatever was popular, of course, but you also divert a bit. And of course, there's a lot of big games that I haven't played, which sort of brings us to that was actually a nice little crossover to my next topic, which I want to talk about what this channel is all about. So I've always been interested in getting into streaming, but yeah, because you play a lot of video games in your spare time, and I like that song. So yeah, there's a lot of games that I've missed out on or I haven't played, a lot of classic RPGs, you know, from the old days, or maybe some that I did play but I can't remember them. And I thought to myself, like, okay, that's a good idea. You want to go back and refresh your memory or touch on games that you never had the chance to play as a child or during your younger years, or just get those experiences, because we're talking about some great RPGs, right? There's some amazing games out there that, you know, we weren't aware of, or some people played, some others didn't, and, you know, it's a shame to let them go. So I thought to myself, why not share this experience? Like my friend in elementary school shared the experience of Final Fantasy VII with me, and he was able to get me into the franchise and into the whole genre, because honestly, most of the games I've played are RPGs. So I thought, why not do this for everyone else? And that's the goal of this channel, you know, just to create a space where people can come over and talk about first of all, I want to share my gaming experiences with you and hear about how you see them through your eyes, right? Like, maybe I play an RPG and I think about it like this, or I think about going about it like that. But maybe you'll see it in a different way, right? And I wanted to create a community where people can come in and share their interests or their love about franchise, about the genre, about old style games, old style RPGs, and we can talk about them and, you know, in a chill, relaxed atmosphere, chill vibe, you know. We could just come here and share the love, you know. And yeah, that's the main goal of this channel. We'll just come here, just play games, play old school RPGs. That's mostly what you're going to see from this channel, mostly what you should expect to see from this channel, and that's the type of content you'll be seeing, because, you know, as I said, there's a lot of old school RPGs out there that we've missed out on, and thankfully a lot of them have been remastered, a lot of them have been replayed, what? A lot of them have been jolted up for modern day consoles, or even if they haven't, it's okay, we can go look for them. We'll go find them, wherever they are. Like, recently I completed Fantasian, which is not an old RPG, it's new, but it has a lot of old style mechanics, and I had such a great time with that. But as I was playing, I was just thinking, okay, I've played this game, I'm playing this game, but I have all these thoughts, all these ideas that I want to share, that I want to hear from other people about this game, and that's what really motivated me to start doing this. Because, okay, so you play a game, you finish a game, you beat a big boss, or you see a massive story development, and you're like, dude, what's going on? And you just want to talk about it. You just want to take a minute and hear what other people have to say about it. So yeah, that's the main motivator behind me starting this and kicking off this channel. And I mean, streaming is quite popular these days, so it's like, who isn't doing it, right? And yeah, just even beyond that, you know, it doesn't have to be all about gaming. We can just, you know, kick back, chill, talk about whatever else is going on. Just have a space where we can come together, talk about what's going on in our lives, what's going on in the universe, what's bugging us. I mean, we'll try and keep it as free from any heavy stuff as possible, you know? You don't want to... I mean, there's stuff going on in the world, and you don't want to be boggled down with that. I'm from Greece. This program is coming from Athens, Greece. So yeah, but I've been doing a lot of back and forth between Greece and Australia. That's where the accent is from. But yeah. As I was saying, you should expect to see a lot of RPGs. Let me show you what you should expect from this channel. Alright, let's see if I can show you this one. I think the music might go off. But, yeah, this is the first one that we'll be playing starting tomorrow. Let me turn on the audio.
Suikoden 1, Gate Rune War is where it all started. The Empire
Yeah, I thought Suikoden would be a good start.
Once a renowned hero. Our hero stands up as the leader of the Liberation Army and gathers allies to fight against the oppressive rule. Ideals, honor, friendship, loyalty, love.
Seems interesting. I've never played it.
Various ideas swirl under two different flags, the Liberation Army and the Imperial Army. Suikoden 2, Dunan Unification War is the direct sequel. The main characters, three childhood friends...
Oh, sorry, I've got the music on.
...into a great whirlpool of destiny between the kingdom...
Yeah, we'll start with Suikoden 1. We'll see how we go. We'll see how we enjoy it. And damn, Zanakin hit. we'll see how we enjoy it. We'll see how we like it. If it's suitable to the channel. I mean, it is an RPG, and it's got overwhelmingly positive reviews from what I can see here. So yeah, we'll boot it up and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, it's a good experience. Hopefully, it's a good experience, and they always say that first experiences are like a little bit iffy, but yeah, we'll take it from there, and hopefully, it's not. I'm expecting good things from Suikoden. I've heard good things about it. I've heard and the reviews I'm seeing are like positive, and this remastered edition has like extra stuff, so it should help us. Like background illustrations have been upgraded, updated effects, breathe new life into the pixel art animation, new environmental sound effects to immerse yourself in the fantasy world. Battle sound effects are also now HD and add a new level of realism. Newly added autosave, that's a lifesaver. Battle fast forward and conversation log. So, conversation log. Yeah, that's useful, That's very useful because, you have to press X or some button to like keep going in the conversation when you're like chatting someone up in an RPG, and sometimes you might press it by accident and you might miss an important line of dialogue and you're like, oh damn, what did he say? And you're like, oh, I missed it. So the conversation log is actually a very useful feature because you can go back at any time and see what you've spoken about and what some character said, and like just at any time. See, these slice of life features, or quality of life features, whatever, like small things, but very useful, very important things. So yeah. I'm looking it up on Steam, but we're actually going to play this on the PS5. And most of our games will be on the PS5. Unless they're incompatible, then we'll play on Steam. But yeah, just FYI, because I don't know, I trust the PS5. it's a trust issue thing, It's yeah. Yeah, after Suikoden, because like I sort of have a list in my mind, and even though I've said that we're just going to be doing old style RPGs, but it's not going to be exclusively on that. Like, I'm not going to tie myself down on that. So, damn, I love these songs. Yeah, it's not going to be just exclusively old style RPG. Like, there might be something new that pops out, and we want to check it out. Like, one big thing I have on my radar is Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which is one big game I want to check out. I ain't letting that go, and I'm definitely going to stream that. But after Suikoden, I'm going to do the I'm going to do the Luna HD remaster or whatever it's called series. Both 1 and 2, because the funny thing is I played those games. Sorry, my phone's buzzing. The funny thing is I played those games when I was younger. But I remember one day I went to my local video club. I was 16, 14. I don't even remember how old I was, right? So I went to my local video club. I picked up this game. I played it, and the only thing I could remember about it was that there was this white talking cat in it, and it was so annoying. But in the end, something, I don't want to spoil anything, but something big happens to this cat. And that's the one thing that I kept remembering about this game. So recently I heard about Luna coming out, and it turns out that Luna is that game that I played back then. So I want to go back to it. I want to remember it. I want to take a trip down memory lane. So far on our list we've got Suikoden. Where are my hands? So we've got Well, I get used to the camera. Sorry. I have an issue with the camera. I can't get used to it. I'm sorry, because I feel like this is my left and this is my right. But anyway, so I've got Suikoden, Lunar, and Claire Expedition 33, and beyond that, we'll see what happens. Also, don't tie me down to I have to play them on release. No, I want to finish one game before I get to the other. It's gonna be it might take a minute before we get to the other game, but it is what it is. I don't want to leave one thing unfinished just because something else came out, right? I want to respect the games that for what they are, give them the time that they deserve, so that we can take our time playing Suikoden, finishing it, seeing if we want to continue with the second game, and then we move on to we either continue with Suikoden 2, or we move on to either Lunar or Claire Obscure, whichever comes out first, because I don't really remember their release dates. But yeah, so we'll see how they go, and yeah, that's the plan for this channel, and that's what you should expect. There will be no Fortnite, there will be no Halo, there will be no LOL or League of Legends. There will be none of that content. Also, if there is anything, any new updates, any type of Final Fantasy Remake Part 3 news or information, or trailers coming out, you should expect a reaction trailer, a reaction video or something like that. I will do my best to upload those on YouTube, even though I'm not the best. I'm still figuring things out, how things work on YouTube and all that. But yeah, because sharing our reaction and sharing how we see things with the world, and then getting your views on it, is what this challenge is all about. I just really want to, create a community of people, bring like-minded people together, and take it from there. Yeah, I mean, Before the Storm. This music is incredible, by the way. I'm thankful for a lot of things for the Final Fantasy series, but the music, man, jeez. And I don't even remember this track. Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about for today, for the opening stream. As I said, this was my first stream, so beyond me. Thankfully, from what I can see, there's one person here, or none. So, with that out of the way, I just wanted to say a few things for a few people. If the people that got me into this, that helped convince me to get me into streaming, because I've always had it as an idea. I've not always, but I've had it as an idea in my mind for a while now. But you keep thinking, you get the negative thoughts in the back of your head, oh, who's gonna watch it, and who cares, or who's it for at the end of the day. But I watched other content from other content creators, and I got positive reinforcement also from my family and from people around me. So I just want to say that to the people who have supported me, even if they don't even know it. Some people have really supported me in making this move. For example, my mother and my sister, who they're halfway around the world right now. So I don't know if they'll watch this, but if they do, thanks for always putting up with me and always supporting me, like no matter what I do. Like I know I'm very like I jump all over the place, but yeah, this is something that I really want to do. I hope you bear with me in this new journey. Not this. Who else? My friends, of course, who kept telling me and always tell me to follow my dreams and what I believe in, and they always push me forward, and I'm very happy to have them around me once again, because there was a period in my life I just went through a bit of a tough transition in my life where I didn't have them around me, so I made a tough switch, made some difficult decisions, but I honestly feel they were for the best, and I'll stand behind them no matter what. So thanks to my friends who they're always pushing me forward, always pushing me to do what I think is best. And I also want to say thanks to a couple of streamers here on Twitch who, after watching them for a long time and seeing what they do and all this positive energy that they create, I thought I wanted to do the same thing. Number one is Cataclysm, of course. If you're not watching her content, what are you doing with your life? You should definitely go and get involved with that community. So much positive energy is put out there through that community, through the space that Cataclysm has created, and it just made me want to try and do even a little bit of what she does, because it's just such a great vibe, such a great space, and it just makes you want to be there. So if I can make 1,000 of what she makes in regards to positive energy, in regards to good vibes, in regards to giving people a space where they feel that they're comfortable and they feel that they can come to every day and talk about what makes them feel good, what makes them feel okay, then I'll have done good. I feel that I'll have done something very good and very positive with my time. So yeah, big thanks to Cataclysm for influencing me positive. What did I just say? Influencing me positively to take this next step in my career, because yeah, let's not hide behind the bush. It is a career, and it is it takes a lot of dedication and work to do this. Also, Maximilian Dude was another inspiration for me, for the way he speaks, for the knowledge he carries, but for the work he does as well as a streamer. I really respect the work he does, the views he has, and the content he creates, especially around Final Fantasy VII. You feel like he just has this air of knowledge and this these ideas that come to his mind, and you're like, dude knows what he's talking about, right? He's and it just makes you want to if there's new content out, it just makes you want to go to him and listen to what he has to say first before anyone else. So yeah, he also inspired me to do this, because I also feel like that, I also feel like I want to share what I think about the new trailers or the new content, the new Final Fantasy content. I want to share that with the world too, because when you see a new trailer, or when you see the posts on Twitter or X, whatever, you have thoughts that come to your mind about the games, and you're just or the development of the game or something like that, and you're just I want to share that. I want to talk about this. So that's another part that really pushed me forward and made me jump on Twitch and brought me here to you today. So yeah, big thanks to Max, and also huge thanks to, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, Steve Paul's Music, I think. because it was thanks to his videos that I was able to set this thing up. Even if it's basic, even if it barely works, even if a lot of times it'll probably shut down, even if it's given me so much trouble to set up. Like, you have no idea what it took. It's a basic streaming setup. Like, I have 2 screens. I have a game capture card and I've got the PS5 underneath. That's it, right? And just to do that, and of course I've got the equipment like a mic, a webcam, and other stuff here like a Bluetooth and some other stuff. It took so much time and energy to set this up. Like, I feel like even booting up Windows on this like bucket of bolts PC, it took so much time. But honestly, if it wasn't for CPAW's music and his videos about all the software I needed to download, all the settings I needed to put on OBS, every little detail, I wouldn't have done anything. And honestly, I'm still watching his videos meticulously to be able to take my next steps. Like, because you do the videos, okay, and you're through with the videos, but there's more to be done. Because if I just do this video, I can't do anything for me. So, yeah, that guy knows his stuff. And if you're thinking about starting your own channel, mate, go watch him. Go, like, see Paul's music. He knows his stuff. He'll help you out. He'll hook you up. So, yeah, that's about all the people I wanted to thank. And yeah, about next steps. As I said, we're just setting up this Twitch streaming channel, and hopefully things will become better. I'll get less anxious with time, because this is my first stream, and hopefully, like, of course, in the next streams, in the upcoming streams, it won't just be me talking to a camera, right? It'll be games. What you want to watch are games. You're not here to look at me talking to a camera or giving out my life story. I just felt like I had to do this as an introduction. But yeah, after that, beyond that, depending on how the channel goes, there might be other content. Like, there might be YouTube videos, there might be, like, I might do some games only on YouTube, and I might do other games only on Twitch live. So I'll see how this venture goes. I'm just sort of like testing the waters right now. I want to see how this goes, and from then on, you know, it's sort of like seeing and doing, and reacting to how things go. Of course, I will need support. I will need your support. So, you know, hopefully I will get it. We'll see how it goes. This is only my first stream. I've got like 3 comments. 4 if you consider stream elements, but I wouldn't count that. But anyway, yeah, it's like I said, seeing and doing. Seeing and doing, and slowly and steadily we'll move forward, hopefully with your support and with everyone else's. Take it as it comes. And yeah, but anyway, I'm done with my list of things to talk about. And from what I can see, there's not really anyone here to ask any questions. We're going to do a Q&A. I was hoping to do a Q&A if anyone was here, but from what I can see, there's no one really here. I was hoping to go for a 5-hour stream. It's only been 2 hours. Alright, I think I might end it here. 2 hours is good. Alright, tomorrow we're going to start up, we're going to boot up Suikoden, the first one. So, with that in mind, join in for the new adventures of Shadowhunter on Twitch, and yeah, hopefully we'll have more to talk about. Hopefully we'll get some more people in here to chat and get the vibes going. Yeah, it'll be a good time. It'll be a good time. we get to explore some new RPGs. We'll get to talk about some new, some old RPGs, what you like, what you're into, what maybe. Of course, as I forgot to mention, I'm always open to recommendations. I'm always open to hear requests for games that you'd like to see on this channel and what you'd hope to see, what you'd like me to play, and stuff like that. I'm not like it's not all set in stone that it has to be old school RPGs. If you want to see something else, of course, I'd like to hear it. I'd like you to tell me what you want to see, what you'd like to explore, what you'd like to view on this channel. Maybe you've played a game that you hold close to your heart, like I know Grandia is a popular game, and Xenogears also. I haven't touched the Xeno franchise. I haven't touched the Tales of franchise. I haven't touched the Trails franchise. I haven't played Persona 4, the Saga franchise, the Legend of Mana franchise. There are so many RPGs out there that I haven't even gone near them. I haven't played Final Fantasy Tactics, even though I have it on my phone and get into it for some reason. But hey, if we're on the channel, we might as well try it. So there's a lot of stuff out there. Like you say, a person might say that they're into RPGs, but like, you know, you miss out on so much, and there's so much variety out there. So with that in mind, like I said, always open to recommendations, always open to hear what you want to hear, what you want to see. So yeah, of course, hopefully we can get some more people in here, and hopefully we can see what you're into. And yeah, I mean, would I draw the line at Fortnite? Yeah, probably. Like I said, do not expect to see Fortnite on this channel. Other than that, yeah, or like a FIFA game or anything like that. No, like I said, like consider it like it's an old school RPG, or it's mainly RPGs here. We can sort of like bend the boundaries. We can't break them. Like Fortnite or FIFA or I don't know, something like that would be breaking them. Assassin's Creed would be bending them a lot, but bending them. Like I would be open to that, but like, yeah. A good question would be, what about the new Grand Theft Auto when it comes out? Inevitably, it has to come out. So what about that? That's a good question that I really don't have an answer for. I played Grand Theft Auto 5. I had a good laugh with it. I enjoyed it for what it was. Would I play it on stream? That would be the type of game that I might play for one stream. I wouldn't have it on consecutively. Like, I might give it a go just to see some reactions and all that, just to have a laugh. I wouldn't play it consecutively, though. But anyway, yeah, like, you know, there's so many games out there. There's so much stuff to play. There's such a wide variety. Yeah. Anyway, and with that, I think, as I said, I was aiming to go for a 5-hour stream. I think I'm gonna have to end it like around 2 hours, because yeah, no people here and no Q&A, and I'm running out of things to talk about. Like, you can only talk about yourself for so long, right? And yeah. Yeah, big thanks to all those who supported me. Yeah, alright. So, with all that out of the way, thank you to anyone who joined even for just a second on this stream, even who just like zoomed out, like just pressed the button and say like, what's he going on about? And then just tuned out. Even that's enough. Like I said, brand new streamer here, so still figuring things out. Any technical issues, any technical glitches or whatever, please let me know, okay? So I can fix them up, so I can improve them, make things better for your viewing pleasure and for my knowledge, for my future knowledge as well. As they say, as this guy says, you live and learn. No, actually, he says live and let live. Anyway. Yeah. And yeah, hopefully it becomes better, it becomes livelier in here soon. You know, because I'm here playing games, but if you're not here, there's not really much of a point. And yeah, that's about it, I think, for the first stream. It was good to introduce myself to the community, whoever is out there. And yeah, whoever saw this, I'll make an attempt to upload this video on YouTube in case anyone wants to watch it, or it'll be good to keep it as an introduction video for the future, in case anyone ever pops into the channel and is like, who's this guy? Like, why is he doing videos? Well, where's he from? What's his background? So I'll keep it. I'll try and keep the VOD, because I know that Twitch takes them down after about 7 days. I'll try and keep it on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, The Shadow Hunter. And yeah, for your viewing pleasure. Anyway, and with these very calming tunes from Final Fantasy X and Titus staring off in the distance in the background, I think that's about it. I think I'll sign out at about this point. Thank you, anyone who tuned in, and I'll see you tomorrow at about the same starting point for begin our adventure in the world of Suikoden. See you later.